This is Cynthia Reed with the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber. I'm the Senior VP of Marketing and Communications. I am really excited today to have with me Caroline Lowery with the Oklahoma Humanities. Caroline, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Talk a little bit about Oklahoma Humanities and maybe some of the projects that you work on that we might be familiar with.
Sure. So Oklahoma Humanities is a 501c3. We are the statewide affiliate for the National Endowment for the Humanities. So every state has its own Humanities Council and its own Arts Council, and we serve as sister cultural organizations to engage the public with the arts and humanities. Some of our most successful programs that you might have enjoyed in your community would be our reading and discussion program called Let's Talk About It Oklahoma. That's in local libraries, prisons, community centers. We also do large-scale public events that engage the general public with humanities scholars. We also do a monthly podcast called Brainbox and a biannual magazine called Oklahoma Humanities Magazine.
That's great. Tell me when you started to think about what you needed to do for the community as it relates to this crisis.
So since we are the state affiliate for a federal funding agency, we receive a federal appropriation and we disperse a large portion of that statewide in the form of community grants. We give out grants to local cultural organizations to host their own programming. When we heard that Oklahoma Humanities would be included in the CARES Act, the funding package that was passed through Congress, the National Endowment for the Humanities received an appropriation, which then Oklahoma Humanities was set to receive sort of a sub-appropriation of that. And so we immediately started reaching out to our partners and core cultural agencies statewide to really get a good idea of what was needed. And it was quickly illustrated that the need was urgent and great, mostly for staff retention and general operating support. So that's when we decided what we can do to help Oklahoma cultural organizations is provide funding that's easily accessible and quick turnaround process-wise, specifically for those costs, staff retention and general operating support.
So tell me, how much funding did you receive?
The Oklahoma appropriation through the National Endowment for the Humanities was $481,100.
Great.
And I am really proud to say that we are able to redistribute every single dollar of that. We did not keep a penny for administrative costs. We turned right around and redistributed out statewide.
That's great. I understand the Oklahoma Arts Council received a similar amount in funding. Can you talk a little bit about, is there still an application process for that, or has that money been dispersed as well?
So since we are sister cultural agencies, our funding source is from the same congressional legislation. However, we do serve very different, although complementary roles in the state. The Arts Council serves as a state agency where we're an independent 501c3. So we're usually a little bit quicker to turn around our grants since we just don't have as much sort of bureaucracy organizationally speaking. Arts Council grants are also focused on the arts, where the Humanities Councils are focused on the humanities. And how I generally try and interpret that is, if the art is the what, the beautiful performance or painting or sculpture, the humanities are the why. They interpret the art. They're there to provide context and meaning. So the Arts Council grants, I think, are set to go live in June. And the executive director of the Arts Council, Amber Sharples, and I have been in constant communication to make sure that our grant programs are harmonious and complementary and can serve agencies in unique but mutually beneficial ways.
So is your grant process is open now?
So our grants opened on April 17th, and within 48 hours, we had $700,000 worth of requests for $481,000 worth of funding. So we quickly realized that we would need to close that down so that people didn't spend weeks applying for funding that was no longer available.
So when do you anticipate awarding those grants?
Great. So our staff and board met over last week, and they made their final decisions actually last week, and we are working on notifying the recipient organizations this week.
That's great. Quick money to keep people open. That's exactly what's needed. While we're all at home, we're looking for fun virtual things for us, for our kids. What online programming do you have that might be interesting in addition to the grant funding?
So we, as a staff, were rapidly able to sort of transition to a more virtual programming portfolio. As I mentioned previously, we have a monthly podcast. So we were able to take advantage of, if any of our in-person programs were canceled, we sort of turned that into a virtual format. So you can go to our website, okhumanities.org, and listen to the most recent episode of our podcast. And then we also put up all of our archived episodes as well. So those can all be accessed at once through our website. We also released digital archives of our biannual publication, Oklahoma Humanities Magazine. We physically mail that to over 12,000 homes twice a year. And our associate editor and associate director and magazine editor, Carla Walker, was able to turn those into digital archives and make them available for free, available to anyone to access. And you can read years worth of Oklahoma Humanities magazines. And it's all about culture, issues, and ideas.
Great. That is super stuff, Caroline. Anything else you want to share with us today?
I would just encourage everyone to continue to support their cultural organizations. I don't think any one of us would be making it through this quarantine without access to arts and culture resources. Buy something from the museum store, donate online. Please continue to support your cultural organizations statewide.
Thanks, Caroline. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you. Have a great day.